pretty simple. They are 2-0 without Kawhi. They are 0-2 with Kawhi in the series. It is so disappointing that Kawhi is injured as well. I get a similar Zion feel to this where he played 68 games in the regular season. That's the most since the 2017 season. Man, if you were around during that insane stretch they had, I think it was like 27-3 or something insane. No, so I forget what it was. Man, getting to see Kawhi get out there, and when healthy, that dude is so unstoppable. Similar to Anthony Davis. Like, we just forget how incredible these guys really are. However, the Clippers have been able to steal, ? 2 games from the Mavs. And I think that speaks volumes about both them and the Mavs, and this is why. Number one, playoff Harden, playoff P. This last game might have been the best playoff game I've ever seen either of them ever play in. I know Harden went nuclear that one game against Boston last year with basically no help. That's fine and all great and dandy, and I think he hit a great game winner in that one as well. I still think that this one was more impressive because here is what he did in the fourth quarter. 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 6 for 8 field goals, 3 for 3 free throws, 0 turnovers, 80% true shooting. So I just actually think that's the best playoff performance I've ever seen from James Harden. You don't score 15 points with 0 turnovers in the fourth quarter against a very hungry Dallas team on the road after a dog loss in game 3 where Russ got ejected. I think like half of the roster got a technical foul at the end. Ugly loss. And they still came out and balled. Obviously, Paul George as well. He had 26 points in the first half. Stopped shooting, Tatum style, in the second half. But talk about catching fire. Absolute Human Torch flamethrower in the first half. Gave him a huge lead. I think they were up like 31 points at some point. The defense of the Clippers allowed the Mavs back into it, as well as the Mavs offense. They're these are great teams, and that's going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind, Ty Lue made it a point to tell his guys the Clippers have to punch first in all of these games, which is tough because Luka I think he's second in the league behind Embiid in first quarter scoring. Like, he knows as well that his team relies so much on shooting. Higher variant style of play means you got to create a buffer however you can for your team. And that's exactly what the Clippers did here. Yeah, coughing up a 31-point lead sucks. But you know what it did? It got Paul George and Harden in rhythm. It got their confidence up in this game. It got the rest of the guys in a positive, hopeful mindset. Basically, we earned this game, right? That is the point of throwing the first punch. It's very, very important. And so 26 points in the first half. I think Harden had like 18 and like 8 assists or something. Obviously, in my opinion, Harden stole the soul of Luka and the Mavs in that fourth quarter. Unbelievable. Made like 4 floaters in a row. Again, 2, like however many assists. Also his rebounding late as well. Just a phenomenal performance by Harden. How sustainable is it? I have absolutely no idea, but I was extremely impressed by Harden. Also, shout out the entire world, essentially, not only expecting the Mavs to win, but wanting the Mavs to win. That just felt like a you win. As a lover of storylines and stories, I love that. Good for them. Negatives, obviously Kawhi's health. We'll see what even happens here. 2 is general fatigue. So Kai said this in the postgame as well. The longer this series goes on, I think that the fatigue factor hurts the Clippers more. They're just older. The Mavs do a lot of assists and like ball pressure, kickouts, and cross-court skips and things like that. I think it actually does ultimately benefit the Mavs, so that is something to keep in mind, but we'll see. The last thing is the trash rebounding. It's not a huge surprise, I'm sure. The Clippers suck balls at rebounding, and that is just how they play. They are an older style team. They prefer to just take the shots and live and die by those. We'll see how that works, especially with the length and speed of Dallas and how they are going to be hustling for those as well. We'll see. Keys to win. Number 1, jump out early. The Clippers are not overcoming a 31-point deficit themselves. They got out to 1 in this last game, and they needed to do that because, again, I just don't think they have the toughness, similar to Phoenix, to withstand that kind of first punch from the Mavericks. 2 is step on the throats of Gafford and Lively. So Gafford's banged up. He's had back problems as well as the ankle problems. Lively is literally a rookie, and you see him with some of the foul issues and things like that. If I'm Ty Lue, I'm looking at Zubats and I'm like, listen, you got to go for their throats right now. Whether that's rebounding, getting them in foul trouble, swallowing up rebounds. They won that game, and I think Zubats played 25 minutes. He only had 4 rebounds. I didn't rewatch the game, so I don't know exactly how that happened, but that's insane to me. Zubats should literally be having 10 boards, probably, especially in that fourth quarter. Dallas has been closing with Kleba at the 5 just to get their 5-out spacing, and clearly Kid trusts him, but Zoo should be getting at least 10 rebounds a game. There's no question about it, so they need to do that. And the last thing, of course, is just keep Harden's confidence up. Both him and PG, of course, but I just think that that's really important. Harden's a phenomenal playmaker. He's got to get the other guys involved. PG, if he goes nuclear again, getting 26 points in the first half, whatever, that's amazing. But it's always, in my opinion, especially without Kawhi, it's always coming back to Harden. You know, he is initiating. He's making the reads. You got to keep Harden's confidence up. Switching over to Dallas now quickly. Big headline for me is still finding a balance between rim and three-point shots. The threes, they shot up there in the top. I think they were top 5 in three-point frequency this past season. Obviously, they love that. That's how they generate a lot of their stuff. They're very efficient at the rim when they get that read, but again, they don't really trust their lob threat centers, Gafford or Lively, to be the extra passers that I think Zubats has proven himself able to do. So I say that to say, doubling the ball on Luka and making Gafford or Lively play make is probably a good idea. On top of that, I think PJ, Derek Jones Jr., pretty streaky three-point shooters. So feel out that game, see how that's being read, but specifically with the centers, you see Jason Kidd closing the games with Maxi Kleber, and that's for a reason. And it's not just because he is a system player with a wealth of experience in how Kidd wants to play and playing with Luka, yada, yada. It's because Gafford and Lively can't make the extra passes, and the foul issues with Lively in particular, I think, matter. Positives. Get Kyrie Irving the ball. Luka struggled so much in the first quarter of this past game, chucking up shots, got a technical, got 3 personal fouls in the first half, just terrible body language, his knees banged up, and particularly in that second quarter when they were getting down to that 31-point deficit, Kidd was just go ahead. He just let Luka bang his head against the wall and keep trying to do the same thing. Kyrie was nuclear when he just got the ball. If you're Dallas, you have to be aware of how dynamite Kyrie Irving is. And listen to this. Consistently dynamite Kyrie Irving is. It's not a, oh, is D'Angelo Russell going to be hot from 3 tonight? He's top 10 in the league when it comes to playoff performance. And that's not just scoring. You have to be leaning into him more if you want to go far. I'm sorry. Open floor transition by PJ, Derek Jones, and Gafford. You have really fast, long guys now. I would lean into transition a lot more when you can. Also, Luka can't run. So if you can score without him having to run or go across half court, that's a really big deal. Roster flexibility as well. So been closing the game with Maxey as well. They obviously have the other centers to play around with, but Dante Exum hasn't been a factor at all. Hardaway had his ankle injury earlier in the series, so we'll see there. But I think still in theory, you do at least have some ability to give other teams other looks. So we'll see what happens there. Negatives, Luka's knee injury. It really didn't look good in this last game. He had a huge thing on it on the bench. So hopefully that feels better, but also the Luka ref violence. So really felt to me in this past game like a flashback to, an earlier postseason run from Luka when he was younger, mature, just got very overtly and transparently frustrated with the refs. And so, that was just not a great look. So we'll see how that works there. But keys to win, lean on Kai more when Luka's shots aren't falling. Listen, you're going up against some of the best wing perimeter defenders in the league, and Paul George, Kawhi if he's playing. Terrence Mann is no joke either. You have to be willing to lean more on Kyrie Irving if you don't like the matchup, if the shots aren't falling, etc. Kyrie is dynamite, and that's not even just about scoring. And he can score, and he can make some of the toughest shots in the entire league, and you just have to be leaning more into that if you're Jason Kidd. 2 is be wary of the mid-range shooting trap. There's a reason why Luka's probably getting frustrated. It's because he's falling for their trap. If you're doing the high pick and roll, you have Paul George on your back. That's not nobody. Paul George is like 6'8" and really, really good on defense. So you can't do your up fakes, your slow tempo, all this stuff. You have to be making reads really fast, and you have to be putting shots up really fast if you get into the teeth of the defense. So don't fall for that trap. 3 is pull Zoo out of the paint with Kleba. So, do the 5-out thing. That seemed to be really effective. Again, Zubats only had like 4 rebounds in that last game. So those are all of my really big points on Dallas.